We are live. This is the market update. This is the We Are Back market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Why is this market rallying? Will it stop? No. I will tell you why. If you stayed throughout crypto winter, which it was according to Coinbase Institutional 7 short days ago, if you stayed through the 7-day winter, congratulations. You will now reap the rewards. Now, if you left and you're back, welcome back. Welcome back, the prodigal sons and daughters of crypto, right? We are here for you. Today, we will go over the news. There's actually a one news item market update. There is one news item. Boom. We got Arthur Hayes' report. We got the reasons why this won't stop. When Coinbase published, it was winter. That was the low. Now, I'm also happy to say congratulations to Toby Ward for one, calling the decoupling, two, getting our customers in the YouTube member area. And I got people in using similar work in Patreon. We will show it. I will show you the Patreon page with the 13 bottom in Sui, right? Driven by community requests. So for the YouTube member area, just as a point of information, I condensed some of the coins that we gave people, a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Okay. That's now consolidated in the YouTube member area in one short video. Now, you should also watch the podcast because if you need a roadmap in crypto, LuxAlgo is a must because all these breakouts were triggered when things moved out of bullish consolidation formations. And of course, the Bitcoin conference at which it's 77K, I said, get a ticket because there's no reason to get a ticket. And now, unless you haven't been reading the news, there's a reason to get a ticket. Uncle Sugar is going to buy it and they're going to make an announcement. And even if they don't make an announcement, Michael Saylor is going to tell you that Uncle Sugar is going to buy it. You're going to see Lutnick and Saylor there. And you're going to have a corporate arms race as to who can borrow the most money to buy Bitcoin. Ready? At the market. At the market. So if you left and came back, welcome back. If you stayed, thank you. Okay? Want to know what I'm thinking about? This is what I got for crypto winter. It's my crypto winter Christmas present. Okay? You want to know when you talk about orange Lambos? When it's at the low. Buy breakouts. Cowboy hat coming up next. You want bullish cringe? You came to the right place. We're going to go over the charts. We're going to go over Bitcoin. We're going to go over Litecoin. We're going to go over Bitcoin Cash. Did he just say Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin? Yeah, I did. Because remember, normies are coming. Normies are coming now. They're not stupid. They just watched their stock portfolio tank. Rich people are going to get their taxes raised, and they're going to need a hedge. They need something that's going to move, and it is obvious when Bitcoin was going up and stocks were going down. Obvious. Okay, so a brief commercial interruption. YouTube member area. Can crypto rise as stocks tank? Did crypto just reverse course? Bold crypto predictions, where we gave you the coins that are now in here. Right? It's not too late. These are the hodl plays, right? For what we charge, some places are charging $200. We're charging a lot less than that, right? Are you constantly panicking about crypto? I was panicking. She was wearing a disco outfit. 2 altcoin lists in our clients' hands right before this went banana zones plus uber long ETH. Congratulations, Toby Ward. Don't call it a comeback. She's been calling for the decoupling for months, which is now front page news on Dinwit Crypto Media. We'll go over it. $280 million worth of Bitcoin shorts. You mean people were short Bitcoin? You're watching the world meltdown and Bitcoin hold, and they got short. It's like compulsive gambling. What are you doing? Now, I could see if you were short S&P, why are you short Bitcoin? Bitcoin is special. Everybody goes on TV and wants to hear about altcoins. And I get it. We got all that for you. But Bitcoin is special. And we're going back to 2017 where Bitcoin is going to be the the rising tide that lifts all boats. And then Ethereum is going to get going. And then you're going to see, I can't use profanity. You're going to see this is what you're going to see. And everyone's like, well, you know, I missed the low. I can't do it. Don't even start that. Don't start any mental noise. I understood if this market ground you into powder and pushed you out the door. I felt the same way. This show, nothing was harder doing this show in the abyss. But we're out of the abyss. And we're buying breakouts now. And if you get intraday dips, you better get on that. You better get on that. Because even if Bitcoin rises and finds a level, the technology-based part of crypto hasn't been touched in 2 years. It was all memes on the way up. And you're not doing tech investing. You're not doing it in equities. So I kind of wonder where you're doing it. China is drowning in debt. Okay, so this tariff thing was mutually assured destruction. Period. Right? We deprive them of dollars by halting trade. They need dollars to hold up their currency. And we need somebody to buy our endless supply of bonds. So we played chicken with them and everyone lost. Everyone lost. Except Bitcoin. Right? I mean, if you look at what the orange man's agenda, if you look at what the far right has literally a 25-point list, most of it not readable on social media. They haven't kept one promise. Matter of fact, if anything, they've made mistakes, which is shocking, right? Because just because you like sovereigns or who's running it or they're popular, it doesn't mean they know what they're doing. Government, every recession, every problem, every crash has been caused by policy error. This time, you know, Ray Dalio and all these crusty characters, it's the end of the world. Gold is going up. Oh my God. The way to vent the pressure is higher Bitcoin. The way to vent the pressure is not to sell, it's to buy crypto. Period. Current gold rally in perspective. The hours of work to buy 1 ounce of gold. It's now 90 hours, above where it was in 1979. So gold is a central bank reserve asset. Gold is an obvious way to devalue the dollar. Anybody who has been here has been hearing all about this. That was the real reason why gold was going up. It was not the end of the world. Now, here's what you have not heard on the show, which I suspected. As I told you, the Chinese need dollars. That's all you need to know. They need dollars. And gold is traded in dollars. So if you're sitting on a truckload of gold and they bid it up 40%, what do? Sell gold. The Chinese are going to sell gold. And then everyone's going to go, well, gee, what are we going to buy? Tech stocks, gold, bonds, People who have zero allocation to Bitcoin have to go to 2% if they're huge. If they're smaller, they're going to go to 5%, and then they're going to go as high as 20% if they have any sense. And if you really want to make money, a portfolio instead of 60 stocks, 40 bonds should be 50 stocks and 30% Bitcoin. And those the 50% stocks, MicroStrategy's got to be in there. I got gold out of beta yesterday, meaning I took profits, right? You know what I'm saying? Remember 2012, 2013, when you think countries only buy gold. Okay. It's not true. It's not true, right? There are other things to buy like Bitcoin. Countries are going to buy Bitcoin. And when that happens, like you watched gold go up only, can you imagine the spectacular nature of that happening in crypto? Okay, Arthur Hayes, big essay out. I shall reiterate that Trump's goal is to collapse the U.S. trade account deficits. Americans are not going to work 8 hours a day in iPhone factories, but they don't care. It's Main Street over Wall Street. And they could continue to pressure equities even if they have to back off. And if this agenda pressures equities, there's nowhere to go but crypto. There's nowhere else to go, right? So somebody broke this down. So switching over to PowerPoint just briefly, you know, my friend Andy pointed me to a tweet where someone broke this down very succinctly. When Trump shouts tariffs, volatility spikes. When volatility spikes, the Treasury and the Fed respond. When they respond, liquidity rises and Bitcoin levitates. That's it. That's it. Once Bitcoin breaks 110, we enter alt season. Only tokens with real yield and cash flow will survive the next wave. That's where the rotation will go. Our bags are packed. That's it. That's the market update. Actually, it's not. But, you know, if you're in a company like Aave, where it actually makes money, or you have a useful product or something exciting, hopefully like antivirus, and there's a lot of other coins, tons. There's an Immutable X partnership. We haven't even traded gaming. Again, everything in tech, DPIN, DeSci, DeFi, no one's touched it. No AI, no one has touched it. AI started like a week ago. Again, the community in Patreon was on that. They got me on it, which again is a selling point for our middle tier offering. $25 if you're new. $25. We're going to have altcoin pick of the week, altcoin pick of the day. Altcoin overtime was back this week. What are you doing? Who are you listening to? Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for months. Treasury Secretary Bessent says China needs to change. The country knows it needs to change. Everyone knows it needs to change. Right. Because their solution, their economic growth strategy, share screen, their economic growth strategy for 20 years was to subsidize lending, which eventually led to speculation, and overbuilding, which led to a blow up. So they have to figure this out. They have to print. That's it. They're going to have to absorb their whole property market. They're going to have to absorb their whole stock market. They're just going to have to print. They're not going to change. It's too late. They have to absorb everything, which again brings me back to the next headline. So Toby's headline was decoupling. She nailed that. Then these guys are telling you about the Bitcoin ETF in Hong Kong. Just massive. Google a picture of Hong Kong. I went there twice. It's just unbelievable what kind of financial center you got there. And what happens if it's a one product financial center? Now, this. Bessent calls for reforms among Bretton Woods institutions. And you're like, what's that? Okay, I'll tell you what that is. Bretton Woods was kind of an agreement about how we're going to do currencies, right? And when they came out with the original, like there was Bretton Woods and then there was the Plaza Accord. This is what happened on the Plaza Accord. When we start talking about reforms and change, let's change the way we do things and let's scale back the trade, but let's do something with currencies. He wants the dollar lower. He doesn't want to lower it because it's the end of the world. He just wants to lower because the only way out of a debt crisis is to devalue the currency, period, end of story. And it's going lower, except it may go lower versus Bitcoin first, which puts Bitcoin literally on the moon. Now, we could do the market update right here and be done. So Howard Lutnick, a billionaire, a guy who runs Cantor Fitzgerald, ironically, the biggest treasury bond broker firm. So he went to work for, Uncle Sugar. He's a commerce secretary, had way too much to say about tariffs on Sunday talk shows. He was terrible. I'm surprised he still has a job. And after 3 months of working for Uncle Sugar, he's going to borrow all the money he can in a frozen credit market to buy $3 billion worth of Bitcoin. So he sees how the sausage gets made, and he wants to market buy Bitcoin and catch up to Michael Saylor. Is he going to have any company? He's on the inside watching these guys. He's like, oh my God, I got to market buy some Bitcoin. They can fire me. Like at this point, these guys are going to look at anything below 100 as cheap. And even when it gets to 100, they're not going to care. I've been talking for 2 days about price insensitivity. Okay. Cantor, they want to compete with MicroStrategy. Everybody wants to compete with MicroStrategy. And these guys who are short, they're dead. They're absolutely dead. Dead. Saylor has got the most important asset in the world, and he's got so much of it, nobody, including sovereigns, could ever buy the amount that he's bought and not impact price massively. And eventually they won't care about impacting price because, again, you know, they would bid Nvidia's stock up on earnings releases $250 billion in one day, which is interesting because altcoins, as in everything other than Bitcoin and ETH, was only worth 800 or 900 billion coming into today. Web3 is like global peanuts. Peanuts. And no one thinks they need to buy it. That's the thing that's unbelievable. And you do. They do. And the market will go up until people understand that, right? People are afraid. First, they were afraid of holding it. Now they're afraid of getting in. Everyone thinks it's, I don't know what people are thinking. But whatever it is, you need to just check, take a deep breath, and realize where you are. Because this could be 2017 all over again. Toby Ward told all YouTube members this, and they all got long AF and stayed. Okay? Because the thing about 2017 that Toby doesn't know about is that people were not sensitive to price. It was get me in. 4K, 5K, 6K, 10K, 15K. No one cared. They just had to get in. Liquidity came into the system. Bessent put liquidity in there. Everyone had to get in. And you didn't have crypto hedge funds, which, by the way, are massively underinvested. Crypto hedge funds, they couldn't hold it, right? It was just cascading lower. It was cascading lower on Sunday night. On Sunday night. I want to say in this Patreon page, right? So here was the Patreon bottom, right? 2.6 trillion for total market cap breaking out, right? Here's the 13 bottom in SUI at $2.07 on the 4-hour chart. I think it's like $1 higher. Solana hitting LuxAlgo support at 133. We'll check on where Solana is. Virtuals, no bid, straight down. Failed rally, no bid. Meanwhile, Render just broke out. You know, this paid to buy breakouts, to buy any dip after a LuxAlgo signal. LuxAlgo signal, dip, go. Served up nice for you. Okay? Please come check it out. And if you can't check it out, don't worry. Hit the notification button. Hit the like button on the stream. Help the channel. Here we go. Like I said, backed by Tether, SoftBank, and Lutnick. Stable coins. He's just buying it at the market. He's like, oh my God, I got to get long before Uncle Sugar does. We don't have any talking points. I don't have any talking points. He's got to get on and talk about Bitcoin or he's done. Because they butchered the tariff narrative. The tariff strategy was okay. The way they handled the narrative was terrible. Okay? Tariffs will come down substantially, and he's not going to play hardball with the Chinese because everything would blow up. Right? And he's just going to do what he can to get the dollar lower. And the best way to get the dollar lower is Bitcoin at 200K. That's the best way to get the dollar lower because that gets money in the hands of the little people. Okay, now, this is also very important. Okay, and it's sad. Now, this guy got both. He was patriotic, greedy about going to Mars, and also euphoric, like the chainsaw and all that. Okay? You know, laughing it up while government employees were getting let go. And then, you know, the bad guys or whoever, you know, the deep state or whoever starts paying people, underemployed people, $400 to go out and make people afraid to own Teslas. Then the next thing you know, the Tesla board of directors, Cathie Wood, BlackRock, all the people that own his stock are like, dude, look, you can be a politician or you can run Tesla. Pick one. I don't even think you can pick one. You're done over there. You're done. Get out of the headlines and get back here. Because, you know, there are like serious consequences here. Serious consequences. Tesla earnings, worst quarterly profit since 2021. I don't know if it doesn't have the graph here, right? Elon Musk says he's not stepping down from Doge. Yes, you are, man. Yes, you are. Auto insurance companies are going to, you're not going to be able to own a Tesla if this keeps up. You're not. because the insurance will be just unmanageable, right? Tesla, here it is. Tesla's net income fell 71%. Now, what does this mean? Let's think about it. So he wanted to cut $1 trillion. Lutnick said $1 trillion. Elon said $2 trillion. I think the final total was 60 billion. 60 billion. They didn't cut anything. And Congress continues to spend. And the only way that's ever going to change is if the bond market sends a message or Bitcoin does. Guys like Dalio all think everything has to blow up. They love this. And I've talked about this over and over and over again. They sell this crap to you. Dalio on like Sunday morning talk shows. Doesn't have to be a negative event in equities. It doesn't. Or bonds, right? Now, XRP, hope versus the FUD. XRP eyes 60% surge as you get a new SEC chairman. Okay, Ripple was the second highest donation to the Orange Man. Also, XRP futures are live. Now, if you want to hear something harsh, here's something harsh. Here's some good FUD to trade off of. A moment of silence, please, for the death of Ripple's long-running false narrative about XRP. Someday serving as a bridge currency for payments. Zero institutionally independently choose to jam a thinly traded, highly volatile, centralized altcoin into payment flows. Pay for PR is only good for temporary pumps. Woo. Ouch. Okay. Head of the USA's #1 Bitcoin-based wealth platform. Okay. So a little bit of hate. And here's the deal. This guy is not accounting for something that Toby has talked about in the YouTube member area. In that, and there's an article in here somewhere that what's going to happen when banks can custody crypto. Like what's going to happen when banks start getting involved in the ecosystem as a way to onboard people and institutions. Because I know it's great to like custody your own crypto, and that is great. But you have mass adoption and Bitcoin at 250, banks have to be involved. And that could also mean banks are involved with XRP. So yeah, you can FUD XRP all you want. Retail may be over-invested in XRP relative to Bitcoin for now, but we all know XRP puts people to sleep and then smokes higher. So you can FUD it now. Bitcoin may outperform, but when this thing goes, I mean, Garlinghouse wants to go public, right? And this guy is right in the sense that Garlinghouse isn't going public with Ripple with just retail hype, right? They have to build something. And they got enough money to do it now. They have to build something, and the Orange Man's going to tell them to build something. XRP Ledger has a bug. I've always thought that bugs and hacks, even though they're unfortunate, can be bullish because the network comes back stronger. The biggest case was the Orange Man's meme coin basically breaking Solana. None of that was at regrettably a top, but it was a test of the Solana network. And it eventually passed. It held up. Bitcoin conclusively decoupling from equities. Experts weigh in. Experts weigh in. Okay. There she is, Toby, talking about decoupling in the YouTube member area for a year. Tired of hearing about this? Well, I'm sorry. Because this decoupling stuff's everywhere, and we've had it for a long time. And as soon as we saw it, boom, we were in. She kept saying, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And that's what held me in. You got to ask yourself, I hold you together. Who holds me together? The YouTube member area, that podcast, right? It's not, it is. We got altcoin picks. We're doing great. But the podcast has huge value, right? And she's going to be famous one day. I'm telling you. Sailor says new SEC chairman will be good for Bitcoin. You go, Mike. You go, right? Paul Atkins will be good for Bitcoin. You know what all Paul Atkins has to do? is make sure everybody in their office knows what to do and then go play golf. And maybe get after people who are like scamming old people. Like get after the scammers, not the coin projects. Look at this. Strategy stock saw 100 million in failed trades in March. Possible short squeeze indicator. High failed to deliver volume and high short interest suggest pressure is building below MicroStrategy. So let me get this straight. All the hedge fund clowns that were levered long Nvidia and the Magnificent Seven and got smoked. All the genius hedge funds that borrowed $1 trillion to get leveraged some kind of like, fringe, ridiculous thing in the Treasury market, which completely blew up. All the guys with fancy computer models blew up. And now the next wildebeest to get eaten by the crypto crocodiles will be these clowns that are short MicroStrategy, because theoretically the stock is worth twice as much as the Bitcoin that it holds. Yeah, of course it does. Because you can't, ChatGPT cannot write Bitcoin code and replace it, and nobody can buy the amount of Bitcoin that he buys without nearly catastrophic price upside. Yeah, okay, you can buy the Bitcoin that he's bought. You'll buy the last lot at 300K. Right? This guy has a completely unique value proposition. And there are so many people in the world who just watched Toby's decoupling happen on live TV for 3 straight days in dramatic fashion. And wedge funds are short this stuff. Forget it. Bitcoin futures open interest surge shows investor confidence in trade deals and Powell. It wasn't that the Fed's independence was in question. The Fed's never been independent. The Fed is not on your side. Not. I mean, maybe if you're an NVIDIA holder, or maybe if you're in the top 1%, or maybe if you think people should eat bugs. The people who are on your side are Michael Saylor, guys who are on CNBC day after day after day after day, telling you that, what Toby's telling people. If you have crypto, you will survive whatever freaky things are going to happen. And that's the lesson from this tariff thing. That all you have to do is say the wrong thing on Twitter, and all of a sudden, weird stuff stops happening. And weird stuff's not going to stop happening. So the quicker we get our act together, the quicker we start investing in AI, the quicker we start thinking about all the different sectors, finance, science, gaming, social media. None of this stuff has been touched. None of it. None of it has been touched, except in videos in the YouTube member area. Grok coins, right? 4 weeks ago, right? We've been laying all this out for an extended period of time. Come see us. Okay, Bitcoin is bigger than a big tech stock. So what? Doesn't matter. It's the Magnificent Eight. All right, if that helps you. It's a monetary system. It's not just a tech stock. This code can all be copied. This code can't. That's it. Literally, that's it. How much is this worth? I don't know. 4 trillion? 4 trillion. Crypto isn't even worth. I don't think crypto is worth 3 trillion. Bitcoin is worth 4 trillion. That's never mind the rest of it. Remember all these predictions? I used to work at this company. Total digital assets one day will be like 10 trillion. We could do 10 trillion by the end of the year. Seriously. Maybe not 10, but maybe close. Certainly, we're not going to have Web3 worth 800 billion. Are you kidding? It's literally, it's almost a joke. I've been offered lending on Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. This is coming harder and faster than you think. In other words, people are trying to get their hands on Bitcoin and MicroStrategy either because they're short or they need to get it on their balance sheet. Just wait until the U.S. banks start doing custody. Right? I mean, it's unbelievable. Howard Lutnick at Bitcoin 2024 was the signal. And in that sense, you have been told. They just picked the wrong talking point, or they picked the right talking point. They got all the bad news out of the way. They tried to push whatever they needed to push to get the stock market down, because again, stocks down and bond yields higher. It's unfortunate, but it does break inflation, which we discussed at length on a stream yesterday, which no one other than you lovely people watched. Thank you for watching it. People are just coming back in, and they have no idea about the macro case for this, because they've been so focused on whatever, horse dung Ray Dalio has been shoveling at you. And the, oh my God, from the news media, they haven't seen that Lutnick at Bitcoin 2024 was the signal. Bitcoin divergence and Bitcoin decoupling will be a dominant headline for 2025. Don't make me get her picture out again. I mean, what does she have to do? What does she have to do? Jump up and down on a trampoline while I do the market update? The woman hasn't been wrong about anything ever. You should come pay us a visit. It's a killer podcast. They'll never replicate what me and her do with AI, ever. I mean, the machine will have to be God to replicate what we do in the YouTube member area. I'm serious. Galaxy Digital sells 106 million ETH for Solana. So Mike sells the first uptick, thinking Solana 2000. I don't know. First I saw this. Is this a spoof? You realize how oversold ETH is? I mean, it's a joke. First, you couldn't talk about ETH on the downside. Now I'm like, I don't even know. Do I have to even talk about ETH on the upside? Apparently I do. Right? ETH has no use case. The last time ETH had no use case, Vitalik was a 110-pound teenager in a t-shirt, knowing full well ETH had a use case. And if he can pivot and make ETH faster or make any improvements, or even if he doesn't, that layer 2 network underneath Ethereum is going to attract institutions. Not to mention the fact that if you want to trade a dollar devaluation, right, buying ETH, considering everybody in stonks, their idea of fun is to be long the 2x leverage short Ethereum ETF. Okay, you guys check with me in 3 months. Tell me how that works out. You want to talk about a rubber glove check? I mean, these guys just, these hedge funds just destroyed. And Michael Saylor's laughing all the way to the bank. Michael Saylor paid 107, 97, 93, 86, and 84. And everybody in the wedge fund world was doing what? Selling, buying the wrong stuff, following their broken computer models that haven't read the Satoshi white paper. Speaking of the Satoshi white paper, I can't wait to get into this. Zero affiliate deal. The Satoshi papers. Somebody went out and I think maybe took every big financial crisis in the whole world and turned it into a reason why you would buy Bitcoin. I don't know, but I can't wait to read it. I got that along with my orange Lambo right here on Mr. Desk. Supposedly this book, somebody said it's not the first book they would give you. The Bitcoin Standard is the first book. It's the second book that they would give you. The case for this is unbelievable, and people forgot about it because of the price action. Don't act like a Wall Street analyst and rearrange your view around price. Stocks went down. Every economist calls for a recession. Every single one. Toby Ward calls for the 2017 banana zone. I mean, you probably can't tell. I mean, I sit there at the podcast and I look at her talking about the 2017 banana zone. And then I come in here and I look at my screens and go, okay, but I trusted her for obvious reasons. Okay. And I did not follow the Wall Street economists into the abyss who think a recession is coming because she said we're coming out of one now. Toby Ward knows more than the Goldman Sachs economists. Economists are funny people. They're good at teaching economics. That's about it. They all adjusted their formula. Meanwhile, Sol Strategies going to buy $500 million using some sort of bond. Here, take my legacy paper. I want to buy Solana. It's not a bad idea. They're going to reduce Solana inflation. Remember, Warren Buffett, all these guys will tell you, don't trade on what's happening now. Trade on what's going to be happening in 6 months. They're going to reduce the inflation on Solana. They're going to make Ethereum faster, or at least that's going to be the talk. And that's all that you're going to need because these networks are battle tested. They are battle tested networks. And Web3 is worth $800 billion. Yeah, okay. My duff it is. DeFi Development Corp adds 11.5 million SOL. Shares jump 12%. Are we seeing a pattern here? Perhaps. I think I'm seeing a pattern. Institutional demand could push Bitcoin past 200K in 2025, says the same publication that was writing about crypto winter 7 days ago. Let me ask you something. When you have crypto winter and then you have everyone in the world coming in to buy it, where's the supply? Crypto hedge funds don't have it. Cantor Fitzgerald doesn't have it. Retail is out. Retail's been selling Bitcoin, for God's sakes, for months. Just puking out of everything. They puked out of Bitcoin on a 30%, 25% drop. Bitcoin normally drops like 40, 50% in 2017. Retail, it just went down 30%, and retail sold everything. So let me ask you something. If no one's long and Michael Saylor isn't selling, who is the seller in this market? Like everyone's like, wow, Sui's up 20% today. Yeah, dude, Sui's up 20% because there's no seller of Sui. There's no seller. Hedge funds are not long. Retail isn't long. So it's all buyers, no sellers. And how long can that last? I don't know. Took people 3 months to get out. Could do 3 weeks. You know, everybody wants to sell in May and go away. That's not what Toby Ward said. Y'all better get in there. I'm serious. I'm hard selling it. I'm hard selling it. Bitcoin breaks downtrend. 92.6K. But who's behind the momentum? I don't know. Everybody. Riot Platforms. Remember these crypto stocks? Oh my God. They sold these crypto stocks. They were going to zero. They couldn't get any parts. Even I was like, oh my God. The price action was unbelievable. Toby said, if it wasn't for me, you would have gotten bearish. She's probably right. Or more than likely, I just would have stayed off the air and said nothing. There's buy, sell, and neutral. I would have gone into like neutral mode instead of staying focused and keeping you guys involved. These crypto equities, we'll look at them. I haven't looked at them, but I would imagine it's an amazing picture. Cardano. Go to the last podcast and find out what we think of Cardano as the Bitcoin decoupling continues. Tomorrow, we will announce the outcome of a multi-billion-dollar partnership that's been in the work for 2 years, says Immutable, powering the next generation of games. Toby's been talking about gaming. Last year, she was talking about gaming as something for like this year or maybe later this year. Every time somebody asks a question on the YouTube member podcast, every time we look at a small coin that she picks out, she does that live on the air. And we pull up the TA because I do the TA and she does the TA. She has her own version. It's quite catchy. Last 2 podcasts, everything that we've been picking out or she's been picking out, it's all gaming. I mean, seriously, can you sit there and can you name 5 gaming coins? I told her before we got on this podcast, like, we got to get on this. This is going to happen. And she has said all kinds of stuff about gaming. She says it's going to be the way we onboard kids. 25% of American males, not in a job, not in job training, right? 25% just erased from the earth. No job, no job training. Just adrift. When I heard that, I was okay with meme coins. You know, meme coins are terrible and that most people lose all their money, but at least it's kids taking a shot. Let's give them a shot at gaming. Okay, PowerPoint, just going off today. Just absolutely going off. Stefan, ETH at 1800. Yeah, we can talk about ETH stopping. Actually, you have to go into YouTube member area, right? So ETH will normalize at a level that is much higher from here. So anyone who's thinking about selling ETH, I would encourage you to join the YouTube member area or simply recompute or log the F off. ETH at 1700. I mean, wasn't it there in like 2018 or 2019? What are we doing? Okay, just as a reminder, okay, this blue line comes from Perplexity, adding up as best it can the number of headlines about tariffs 2017. So when tariff talk, which is the high blue line, when tariff talk would top, Bitcoin went from 939 to 2.7K. Tariff talk topped again in July. Bitcoin went from 2.9 to 4.7. And then tariff talk topped in September, and it went from 5K to 20K. Bessent wants this off the tape. So when this is off the tape, what's going to be on the tape? Bitcoin. Okay, so this pattern matching system, which I've been absolutely pounding the table on, Patreon, this show, everywhere, just to make the point. This pattern matching system, I had this when I was at Goldman. They brought like a light version of it back. They're trying to make it more robust, and when it does, I'm going to blow up the world with research. 150-day pattern match. So the red line is the last 150 days in ETH. The blue line is its best match the computer can come up with from history. So interesting that ETH was going down while ETH was going up last match. However, the two charts, this dotted line, this matches up right at a point from November, right around Thanksgiving, where ETH went vertical. ETH can go vertical. High school physics, speed, magnitude, and direction. What goes down one way can go back up the same way. That's common sense. And I have a computer to match that. Solana, which has been telling you the whole time. So first of all, Solana didn't go down much because Solana never went up. So they slammed Solana to 100. Every short seller dimwit on Twitter is like, oh, get ready for double-digit Solana. Yeah, okay, bro. You can sit around and play with whatever charts you were looking at, try to figure out where you're going to get long as this whole thing goes up only. Baby Whale says, what happened to your Goldman stories? Well, sir, we have so many, we can fit some of them in. I would say if there's a Goldman story, you want to hear a Goldman story? Let's do a Goldman story. Richard Barry likes telling this story, and it's actually kind of relevant because it's an example of what happens when everybody gets negative and everyone thinks it's the end of the world, and it's not. Like, that's the key, right? I mean, you can have things that look like the absolute end of the world. And I think like 2010 with the Greece crisis was bad, but 2011 was worse. Okay? Because 2011 wasn't just Greece. It was Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain, also known as the pigs. Okay? So this is the pigs trade. People think it's 2008 all over again. These government bonds went to like 7%. They went to zero. Hedge funds that owned them blew up. It was insane. Like, governments were going to go out of business. Straight down S&P. Wild range crash. Right? Then Draghi comes out and says, whatever it takes. Step up to the microphone, say, we're just going to buy it all. And then what happened then was that in like, I don't know, first of all, in 3 days, it unwound this whole mess. It literally went, and I put out this little note, like, I think this is a bottom. And unbeknownst to me, every single Goldman salesperson sent this out and the trading desks. Like, I used to sit in my room and type stuff and send it to this huge machine, and I never really got to see what they did with it. So my boss and the salespeople, because I had been on this down move. And when I reversed, they reversed. And you had certain stocks Like my boss told me he had a stock go up 75% in 3 days. That never happens. They unwound this whole thing from October 4th to in 1 month, they unwound this entire thing. It was vertical. This is no different. This is no different. And then, 15 years later, does anybody even remember that? No one remembers that. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Europe was going to blow up. Huh, that was funny. And then they had negative interest rates for, I don't know, over many years because the ECB bought it all. The world did not end. It didn't. It looked like it was going to end, but it didn't. And that's usually what happens. That's usually what happens. So the Goldman story was that whole decline unwound itself in days. Days. You had a 30% drop in equity unwind himself in days. Now sit there and listen to that story and tell me that Bitcoin cannot turn around and make a new high, because this is what Solana did. Solana's been going up the whole time. Look at this. No, this is wrong. Ugh. Okay, this is Bitcoin Cash. Now I'm using this because this machine, does rely on like having a deep history of stuff, right? And Bitcoin Cash has a deep history, but again, it looks just like ETH, where it's at that vertical point. And this thing has just gotten monkey hammered, right? Again, spike, sit, spike. This can happen. Don't think this can't happen. Litecoin. No, who is anyone talking about Litecoin? What are normies going to do when they start FOMOing back into Coinbase? All these people that sold everything. Toby has friends. Hey, Toby, what do you do for a living? Oh, I have a crypto podcast. Oh, that's cool. Hey, what should I do? Hey, let's get on the phone. Toby got a friend of hers in Fetch at the low, at the absolute low. The absolute low. It's just like, hey, I'm going to go have lunch with my girlfriends. Okay. They're the ones who are going to FOMO back into this stuff. And everyone is underestimating that. Like everyone's like, well, it's the institutions. Well, it's BlackRock. Yeah, it is. All these macro hedge funds are underinvested. This is all true. But everyone's forgotten about the people who rammed it higher in January. And that was the general public. Because as soon as the orange man gets back on the tape and people realize that this is discount shopping, look at Bitcoin Cash. See these formations? I mean, LuxAlgo, it's like printing. I undersell the stuff. There's an affiliate link somewhere. Like these formations that it draws, right? Bitcoin Cash breaks out, comes back, retests it. This yellow support line gets put in automatically, and boom. And guess what? It's not even above its 200-day moving average. And you're like, what's the 200-day moving average in English? It's like a long-term mean. Like, this is basically where Bitcoin Cash has been roughly over the last year. So is it expensive? No. It's basically where it's been the last year. So the whole planet has to buy crypto. This whole Twitter tariff tantrum has demonstrated the fragility of the entire legacy system from New York to Beijing. And major digital assets are at or below their 200-day moving average. Litecoin, look at the steep nature of this trend. They break it, they go sideways, they retest it, and boom. Again, not at the 200-day moving average. My guess is with this, you get 1-2-day dips max. You may have to go back to where we were last year, where you're on intra-day dips in order to get involved. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm making my point. I mean, when you start looking at this whole thing with the 200-day moving average with ETH, anyone who's going to tell me that this is going to stop is out of his mind. Out of his mind. I mean, ETH has 43% to go to get to the 200-day moving average. This is a give-up trade. This is the mother of all give-up trades. And as noted on the YouTube member podcast yesterday, when I showed this to Toby, she's like, oh, how cute. How cute. That they took ETH back down to the top where it was in 2017. And you know what? People were going to sell. There was a geopolitical event that we thought a geopolitical event was going to happen down here. And people were thinking that there. I talked to a really smart guy. And he was like, I may have to puke it out. Now, what I said was, I bought it at 2K, thought I was a genius. And I'm like, there's no point in puking it out at 14K. Let it go to 0 and I'll just average in. That's what I said. Anyone who's selling ETH at 2017 levels. I mean, in 2017, ETH was basically an idea. And then they ran ICOs on it. Then it wasn't a joke anymore. I mean, some of the ICOs were a joke. Most of the ICOs were a joke. But again, something happened on the network. If you think they're not going to try to do finance on the network, you need to think again. I mean, look at this, man. Base. I mean, you know, this Aero project, the volatility in this thing is unbelievable. It's 80% away from its 200-day moving average. So Aero came out at 8 cents. It went to 220, went back to 36 cents, went back to 220, and then went back to 27 cents. This is like the DEX on base, where people will eventually figure out that you can trade altcoins at a low cost, or Coinbase will wake up and stop telling us it's crypto winter and start listing any of the tech projects on base, anything on base. I mean, what is there not to understand about this? You know, Solana, okay? LuxAlgo has inserted. So first of all, Solana broke out of the LuxAlgo trend line. It broke out of the fib circle. And then Solana on a daily chart, okay, there's support underneath. This is not going down. Everyone's like, where's the dip point? Bro, I'm sorry. You had the dip point. Look at Sui. The dip point is 285. You realize Sui is at equilibrium, right? This is a balance zone for Sui. Just breaks out here and then boom. And I suspect they're going to start running DeFi on this thing. And this real world asset trade, again, you got to get in the YouTube member area. This is like, we went over this and over this and over this. You know, there's a quick video in there so you can like get involved fast. And then you listen to the podcast. It's like, listen. I mean, I could just go on and on. If you look at AI, I mean, it's not going to stop, right? It's like Fetch is down today. Good. Fetch has a robotics angle, right, with support at 58 cents. You get a down day, it's a day to get involved. TAO is a down day. Now, you got a lot of resistance at 350. So you don't know if it can take this out or not. That's pretty chunky. But equilibrium in TAO is at 450. And there are other AI trades. Like, are you going to tell me this is PAAL? Like, you tell me. Like, I could shout into the microphone. This thing was at its discount zone 10 days ago, 15 days ago, at 9 cents. It's now at 16 cents. The high was 50. It's an AI agent marketplace. Oh, and silly me for forgetting virtuals. We caught virtuals. I remember one of our guys said, Patreon, like, virtuals. I don't even know if I can get away with saying this, but he's like, I will die on this hill. That was the low. It's T-Bone. I will die on this hill. It came out of the discount zone yesterday. That's how destroyed this is. Okay. AI agents, memes. All right. Yeah. It's highly speculative. But again, where is this stuff relative to where it was? The equilibrium zone in virtuals is at 280. And people are going to tell me that it's up a lot. It isn't up a lot. I mean, it's up a lot in percentage terms. But this could get out of hand really fast. This is now a race. It's like you get a dip, you get involved. You put a stop in, you get stopped out. So what? You try again. I mean, what did you just live through? You just lived through total hell. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, folks. This was horrible. This is why people left. It's straight down. Absolute total give up trade. Everyone out. I understand. Believe me, I understand. Believe me, right? Like Render has been rallying. There is now support underneath Render at 440. Render's premium zone is at 20. I'm sorry. Render's premium zone is at 12. Toby looked at this and was like, oh, look, how cute. People finally figured out Render. Okay. I think you get the point. We are going to be pouring altcoins. The last podcast has small caps. So put a separate video on the larger hodl plays, which is not Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Larger hodl plays, that video's in there. The podcast has small caps. The Patreon store also has the hodl coins at a much higher price than the YouTube membership if you're allergic to the monthly thing. Again, YouTube members got it first, right? And we're just going to go off now because we're buying breakouts because no one owns it and everyone's got to buy it. It's that simple, right? And, I understand everyone's wrecked, and I don't know if I don't think I can make it, but this Bitcoin conference in Vegas could be historic, right? Like there was no reason to go. Now I think there's a reason to go. Clearly, right? All right. That's it, people. That's the market update for today. On behalf of Toby and the Eagle King, we will see you tomorrow.